We did.
Is that what it is? Is it just like you just grew up just because I know now I'm saturated with it. That's why I've gotten to be enveloped in it. But I mean, God, you guys make me feel so old and dumb sometimes. And the more I talk to you people, it's
He
always the
does that to
same
himself,
theme.
Grant. Don't
Oh,
let him do
shut
that to
up.
you.
Shut up. And then he flips his hat
Look,
around backwards like, yeah, I'm still young. Look at me.
look, I actually grew up in North Texas. And if you know anything about North Texas, it's
That's
football.
football country.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah,
and
okay.
yeah, I mean we have
6A,
high school.
5A high school football, baby, right there.
Yeah, I mean we have high school stadiums that hold 50,000 fans. $100 million stadiums. So I
That's
just
big
grew
boy
up in it.
football right there.
I just grew up in it, man. And there's nothing that I love more than football. And I just sit here and basically I just crunch numbers all day long. And
Sounds
like
familiar, huh, Jay?
that's that's just what I do,
Well, yeah,
man.
I'm just curious because it's we got Grant here, we got Chris, we've got all these guys we've come across with that are all. A lot
Mhm.
of you are 23 or younger, but most every one of them is
Parker.
25 or younger. Yeah, Parker. It just like it astonishes me, and it's not just that you guys like football because I liked football when I was 23. It's the amount of actual legitimate football knowledge and analysis you can bring and not just a bunch of bar fodder like I was and probably Dave was when we were 23 because it, I was just curious. That's all. I mean, Texas, yeah,
No,
that's kind of easy.
I get it.
Texas, that's
Yeah,
easy because it's Texas, I guess. I mean,
yeah,
damn near, even if you don't like football, you seem to know about it if you're from Texas. But yeah,
yeah. But I mean, like you said, but I mean, really, I grew up playing football from as early as I could play football. I played football,
Yeah.
and I actually played quarterback my whole life until in high school, I destroyed my throwing shoulder, and then destroyed my ankle, and then destroyed my knee, like back to back to back years. So that kind of like derailed my career, and so now I kind of have to like compensate for that somehow, I guess. So
Live
I
through
just
football,
like
man.
so
Yeah.
I just like spend most of my life doing football stuff, and when I'm not working or whatever, I'm doing something with football. So I mean that's just how my life has been, and honestly, like people bring up that stuff like, oh, like would you if somebody gave you $100 million, would you not never watch a single Chiefs game ever again or a football game ever again? Honestly, probably I would not take the $100 million. Like
no, because I would
that's
Couldn't
be
do
a
it if it was
hundred
the Packers. I
millionaire that
couldn't.
was miserable and commit suicide within
yeah.
6 weeks. What the hell's the
Hey,
point?
my life is miserable anyway as a Chiefs fan. Everything has been wrong since I was born. It's been terrible.
Yes, but
Don't make it sound that bad.
but here's the thing: you at least have a choice to partake in that misery. And if you were
Yeah.
taking that choice away, it would be double misery for you. Because trust me, the last 2 years it was miserable. It gave me flashbacks as a Packer fan of my youth, post 92, or pre 92, excuse me. And yeah, it's miserable. But had somebody poked my eyes out temporarily for the season, I would have been even more miserable not being able to actually watch it. Or, like it just, I don't know. It's just the way football is. We're all miserable as fans at some point for long stretches, but yet we still wake up and we just consume it just uncontrollably. I don't know. It's like an addiction.
Yeah. Self-inflicted misery.
All right. I mean,
I
from
love it
your
though.
your misery as a Chiefs fan, as you put it, who is your top three favorite Chiefs players?
Oh man, I mean, I have to go with like people that I've actually like grew up watching. I
Yeah,
can't,
of course.
I can't sit here and name Derek Thomas, Otis Taylor, and
Len Dawson. Yeah, I
Paul
got you.
Bell. Like, I'm not. I know people that do that, and like they're like 18 years old, and they're like, my favorite player of all time is Derek Thomas, and I'm like, dude, you never like you
You were
were.
scratching your daddy's pants when you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, no. Um, Top three, man. You
I'm
know,
gonna add one without Patrick Mahomes because I
ah,
know it's an easy one for you.
I knew
I
you were
want
gonna do that.
three.
No,
it's like us
I'm
picking
vetoing
Packers.
that. No, Grant, I'm vetoing that because as a Packer fan, if you ask me top three,
Come on.
I'm automatically gonna right away. I'm gonna tell you
Okay,
Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So no, I'm vetoing
That's
that. Don't
why
pay,
I'm
don't pay
saying
attention to
that's why
Dave.
I'm saying we would say that. So let's take it away.
No,
okay.
we're not gonna take it away. He
I'll
can
give
have
you
two
Patrick
lists.
Mahomes. I'll say Patrick Mahomes is number one, but I'll give
Yeah.
you a number one without Patrick Mahomes. So
Okay.
take him out. Okay. Number three, I'd probably have to go with, probably Priest Holmes. Priest Holmes growing up, that was
I
one of
love
the guys. That was one of the guys that, one of the first players that I really took notice of. He was so dominant for 3 years in Kansas City. I know he had a fantastic offensive line, but as a child, you don't really watch the offensive line. You look at the gaudy stats that he puts up, and you look
Yes.
at him, breaking people's ankles on Sundays. Like, I don't watch the offensive line, opening up holes that I could have run through, at that age. Number two, I'd probably have to go with Derek Johnson. It just so happens that I'm actually a University of Texas fan. My brother was a student athlete at University of Texas whenever I was growing up. So, I grew up as a Texas fan. So, I root for the Texas guys. So I love Derek Johnson, man. And he was one of those guys that just he had an up and down career. So he started out in Kansas City. He was a first round pick. Was really, really good. Had a couple defensive scheme changes, because, the Chiefs were horrible during that time. And then he actually got benched. And then after he got benched, he came back the next season, and he just looked like, with the scheme change, they went to the 3-4, and he just looked like a completely different player. And that's whenever he started racking up all pro selections and Pro Bowl selections and stuff. And he was just a guy that was in the middle of the defense. He was a leader. And so Derek Johnson, and then number one is probably Jamal Charles. Throughout my actual years of whenever I started learning football, Jamal Charles was the one guy that, we could watch every Sunday when the Chiefs were going, 3-13 or 2-14 or whatever.
Yeah.
And, losing record after losing record. Jamal Charles was the one guy that we could watch and enjoy. And I mean, the dude was just ridiculous. And, career leader in yards per carry all time. Also went to the University of Texas. So there's that. And then, I'll give a couple honorable mentions as well. Eric Berry, Tony Gonzalez, Dante Hall.
I was going to say, where is Tony G? That's every Chiefs fan, man.
I love Tony Gonzalez, but, he scarred us a little bit recently, because he, whenever he was getting, inducted into the Hall of Fame, he basically gave all the credit to the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I saw that.
He played one more playoff game in Atlanta than he did in Kansas City. So, I mean, really, you're going to sit here and say that Atlanta made your career?
In 3/4 of the career in Kansas City, yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of just rubbed us wrong. But whenever he actually got inducted into the Hall of Fame, his ceremony, his speech was mostly about the Chiefs. So I think he got it. I don't know. I think he was just doing it because the selection ceremony was in Atlanta, I believe. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, those are genuinely my top three. And Eric Berry, I mean, obviously you got to love the guy. Fought back from cancer.
Yes. It's literally a survivor. And came back. How was he not signed? How is the guy not signed right now? It is blowing my mind.
So I actually went to training camp last year and this year, but last year I was there for Eric Berry's last practice, and he looked perfectly fine. He was coming back from the torn Achilles, and then all of a sudden he just disappeared and literally never came back. Never came back until the playoffs, when he played one game or two games. I don't know if he played against the Colts, but played against the Patriots. He was day to day, and he just never returned.
You think he mentally checked out?
No, he had I forgot what the thing is called, but he basically had a bone spur that's behind the Achilles tendon. It's behind the Achilles tendon, and it's just is really aggravating for the Achilles tendon and very painful. Yeah. And they can't go in there and surgically remove it, because if they do that, then it removes stability from the Achilles or whatever. So basically he just has to play through the pain, and I guess he just couldn't do it. So I mean, that's what they were saying. He's just day to day until, the bone spur basically they were like hitting it with like supersonic sound waves to try to get it to like break apart. But I guess it didn't work. I don't know. But so like he's still not signed, and honestly, I don't know if he really wants to play. I don't know if either of you guys have ever, dealt with like chemo or anything like that, or have family that has dealt with chemo.
Yeah, I lost my mother-in-law to lung cancer.
God forbid. But it does terrible things to your body. It's horrible, and especially for an elite athlete like Eric Berry, it really deteriorates like the level of like your soft tissue and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I just think he's possibly waiting for the right opportunity to go out there and play. I don't think he knows that he can't play a full season. So I think he's just sitting there, waiting until a team really, really needs him.
Yeah.
And, if they do, then he'll go out there and maybe he'll play, in the playoffs or, the stretch run into the playoffs and then play the playoffs. But, I think he's just chilling out right now. He's, got tens of millions of dollars. So I think he's doing all right.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying he's living on the street or nothing. I still think he's very talented and should be signed. That's just me.
Oh no, he should for sure if he's healthy.
Well, there's one guy I've always had a thing for as a Chiefs is Dwayne Bowe. I love Dwayne Bowe. I could never, when he was healthy, I could never take my eyes off the Chiefs game because he would make these stupid, incredible catches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've watched him be draped all over, one arm pinned to his body, and he still brings in, falls and toe taps that inside of the end zone and falls down.
Yeah, I mean, he was a guy, he was never a great athlete. He was just a huge dude. He was like 6'3", 230 pounds.
Yeah.
So he was basically what Kelvin Benjamin was supposed to be, basically. And, whenever his career started to taper off and, he lost what little speed and quickness that he did have, he basically turned into a tight end that was too small, basically. He was a tight end in a wide receiver's body. And I just don't think that, physically he was cut out to do it. I mean, you kind of saw it with Des Bryant, really. And, Des Bryant had a similar career path to Dwayne Bowe, actually, was really good early in his career, caught all the touchdowns. He had, 15 touchdown season, led the league in touchdowns as a wide receiver, and then got his big contract at 26, 27 years old, and then disappeared. So I think that's basically what happened is he just lost the athleticism that he did have, but he just he retired as a Kansas City Chief. I love Dwayne Bowe, and he retired as a Kansas City Chief. So that was really nice to see, that he still has that, love for Kansas City and, decided to retire with the team. And, he might be a guy that, I don't know, the Chiefs put people into the Ring of Honor like nobody's business. Like I don't know if you've ever seen Arrowhead, but like they don't have any more space for the Ring of Honor, so I don't know what they're gonna do, if they're gonna take people's names down or what. But
do you think they're gonna create a second ring like below it?
I don't know. Like I've thought about it, but like they have video boards, like a video ring below it or above. I'm not really sure, but like so they're gonna have to take that off if that's what they choose to do. But I don't know. I mean, they've got guys, Eric Berry, Derek Johnson, Jamal Charles. All those guys are going to have to go up there in the Ring of Honor, here in the near future. So I don't know. We'll just have to see.
Okay. Well, you know what? With that, I got to ask.
What happens, though, Grant, when your franchise gets overzealous about stuff because they're not winning rings, kind of like the Colts when they're hanging championship banners for the AFC and stuff. Your Ring of Honor really should come down to franchise-changing, historical great players. And therefore, it should be very difficult to get up there. That way, you don't have to worry about running out of space. And so, it kind of takes a little away from the Kansas City Ring of Honor when I look at it and I see that a franchise that is just as historical and just as old as the Green Bay Packers, let's say, and you look at the difference in the two Rings of Honors there, and you really look at the names that are in the Packers Ring of Honor compared to that, and you'd go, yeah, the Chiefs are kind of missing the bill here. So maybe they want to reconsider how much weight they put in the Ring of Honor, so that it's more of an actual honor and an actual thing. Because you can't just keep building stadium space for Ring of Honor players, man. Because like players like Jamal Charles